Will Baltic states count in the new world order of great powers? As world leaders have descended on Munich in Bavaria, the narrative here has been that the old world order of predictability, international law is going away, is dying out, and will be replaced by a new world order of great powers. But the question is, what does it mean for smaller countries, like the Baltic states, for example? Myself and Aaron Daman from TVP World have spoken on this matter with Lithuania's president, Gitanas Nausėda. It's Marcin Zaborowski, exceptionally this time from Munich rather than from Brussels, for a wider view.
You're watching TVP World special coverage from the Munich Security Conference. I'm with TVP World's Europe editor Marcin Zaborowski, and we have the pleasure of interviewing the President of Lithuania, Gitanas Nausėda. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Mr. President, Volodymyr Zelensky has just asked leaders if they are ready for Russian aggression and modern war. Is that what's at stake in Ukraine, kind of an all-out conflict in Europe?
Well, a conflict is going on, and of course I'm not so super optimistic about the possible fast resolution of this conflict. I think that we have to push sufficient and additional efforts in order to bring Russia to the table of negotiations, because now I see a rather imitation of negotiations rather than true and frank willingness to start those discussions and to achieve some results. Of course, there are issues which are still, both sides are far away from each other. First of all, territorial concessions. But there are also some other issues which are still under discussion. And first of all, I can barely imagine the possible referendum or elections in Ukraine without ceasefire. So the President Zelensky is talking about normal conditions which would allow Ukrainian people to vote and to decide on some very important issues. But those are not on the table. And I think this is our duty to support Ukraine, to push Russia economically, financially, and of course militarily too, by supporting Ukraine with military equipment, and especially those elements of equipment which is now in big need. And President Zelensky mentioned several times that air defense systems, ammunition, simple lack of missiles is a problem on a battlefield.
We've also heard in America, of course, the question being as to how much of a role America will play in any kind of a security guarantee model or any kind of lasting ceasefire in Ukraine. We heard Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State, address the conference as well. We will always be a child of Europe, he told us. What did you make of that address, and was he trying to smoothen those foreign policy edges of Donald Trump?
Let us compare the situation 1 year ago and this.
It was like night and day, Mr. President.
That's right, and this brings me to the conclusion that the situation is improving. And I cannot imagine the security architecture here in Europe without United States. Maybe in 10, maybe in 15 years, but not now. So the United States is a very close ally, very strong ally, and absolutely necessary and unavoidable element of our security architecture. But of course, Europe has to do its own part, and first of all, by developing the military capabilities on the ground, supporting Ukraine, building the armed forces. First of all, we have to start from the individual countries, and I see how much is going on in Germany, in France, in Lithuania, in Poland, in many other countries of European Union. And I'm really optimistic that Europe is able to step up and to become the very serious partner for United States. But not only in military field. I think that United States is a very important partner in energy sector, in economic cooperation. my example of my country. We are buying LNG from United States through our port Klaipėda. About 70% of the total amount are coming from United States. And we would like to keep this positive economic agenda, because if we have positive economic, cultural and social agenda, I think it will be very simple to have very friendly and, how to say, the dialogue between the friends, not between the competitors, not between the adversaries, but no, very friendly discussion among friends.
Mr. President, I wanted to chime in here and to follow up on this European angle. You said that leaders were talking about stepping up the European effort for the defense of Europe. But both Chancellor Merz and President Macron said yesterday that it would need to be done through the coalition of the able, coalition of the willing. They seem to prioritize that. Now the question is, where does it leave countries like Lithuania in this equation? Don't you feel like that the decisions will be done by the club of big boys and with your country left out?
We try to talk with Germany, and Germany, as you know, is taking responsibility to deploy the full-scale brigade in Lithuania. Yes, there were rumors about possible competition or some trade-off where these troops might be sent if the coalition of willing will start to implement its promises. Maybe the part of these military forces will be sent to Ukraine. But I received quite clear assurances from the Chancellor Merz and from Minister of Defense Boris Pistorius that this is not in the competition with the plans in Lithuania. We are implementing our promises by creating accommodation, infrastructure, and they are implementing their promises. And I hope that Germany is a very trustful partner, and we strongly believe that it will be the case.
Mr. President, if I may, what I really wanted to ask is whether the future of European security is, are you not worried that it's something which is going to be decided in the club of big countries with smaller countries, middle even sized countries being left out, and not actually having much of a say on the future direction of
I see your question, I see the point. We have to avoid it at any cost, because it reminds me 1938. This history should not be repeated.
Exactly. And on that, just very short follow-up. Both leaders of France and Germany spoke yesterday about European nuclear deterrence. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, as a long-term plan, okay. But now we fully rely on the nuclear umbrella of United States. There were ideas presented by President Macron some time ago about the French umbrella, then German discussions. But I think we have to understand that right now the nuclear deterrence is most credible and most strongest from United States. So this is the role of United States in the security architecture of NATO. And of course, another very important fact is that 23 countries of European Union, which are the members of NATO, are providing only about 1/3 of defense spending, and the rest 2/3 from non-European countries. This is not normal situation, and if Americans are talking about more fair or fairer distribution of the financial burden, I have this in mind. So my country is doing its best. We are number one in NATO, taking the defense spending with GDP ratio, 5.4%, and we didn't need the transitional periods. We understand what our situation is. 600 kilometers with Belarus, 120 kilometers with Kaliningrad region. So for us, it's pretty clear. No time to think, no time to have very long discussions. We have to act.
Mr. President, I want to end with a simple question. There's talk within the Polish armed forces of preparing some kind of a plan, particularly militarily, if the United States does not come to help in the event of a Russian attack. Is Lithuania also making these kinds of contingency plans, aware of the possibility and aware that a plan B could be needed?
For me, the plan A is the plan A, and this is the main plan of our security. And I strongly believe in Article 5 because I never received any signals from Washington or from other NATO capitals about possible, let's say, discussions about how strong is Article 5 promise. So for me, I believe that the best way to defend the country is deterrence. And we build our deterrence with our national forces, the plan to establish national division up until 2030, with German brigade and EFP troops from actually 11 countries, and United States presence. The best mix of deterrence is German soldiers standing along with American soldiers. 2 battalions, American battalions on the rotational basis. And so far, I am happy to say that really, despite the discussions about possible withdrawal of American troops from Europe, the commitment of Americans towards Lithuania remains strong. So we have at least the promises that this rotational principle will be kept until 2080.
And you
2080.
And you have total confidence in NATO
And I have
Article
the
5.
total confidence. I am actively participating in all possible formats, and I receive all the signals which are good for our people, first of all, but good for preserving Lithuania's independence and sovereignty. For me, it's very important to protect what we have achieved in these 35 years of our independence. The achievements are remarkable, and the people deserve to be safe, to be protected, and I hope that NATO is the best instrument to protect our freedom.
President of Lithuania, Gitanas Nausėda, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for the invitation.
And thank you much. And that is all for this exclusive interview here from the Munich Security Conference. I'm Aaron Darman. Goodbye for now.